Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. A lot of people have been requesting since I started uploading some Spiritbox songs. Um, you know, first of all, the funny part is these guys don't have a lot of tracks, and people are like literally saying you should do all of these, which is almost all of their material. So yeah, I heard you. I got the message. Um, but yeah, this one's an interesting one because it's been requested many times. The song's Circle with Me, but I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone. And rather than address the song itself, I thought I'd do the vocal one take, or the live one take performance by Courtney LaPlante, I think her name is. Because to me, I think I'll find that a little bit more interesting in this case. I really want to hear the song, but I also want to have a look at how she looks in the studio when she's performing this stuff from just a like a sound making perspective and like what's involved physically in her performance. Because as we know from watching her perform, she's a very subdued performer, and I'm really curious to see how or why that changes in the studio. But yeah, let's just jump straight in.
Cut down the altar!
So I guess we're going to start with a bang. All right. Ah, nice.
Deep is fake, dirty gold, the colors change. Hands are frozen, feel no pain. I just wanna hold the flame. Negative feedback loop, I'm spinning out.
Oh, I like that rhythmically.
The sickly sweetness is crushing me, but I wanna know if there's no heat when my escalate.
Wow, see, this is what I was talking about adding groove, right? So it starts off really straight, and now we're gonna see. She could have easily just left this line with "I just want to hold the flame," but no, she shortens this syllabically, I guess, over the course of like the rhythm, so that she could bring in the next line, negative feedback loop, which is another paragraph earlier, and it drags that whole lyrical structure forward in time. So now she has to articulate it on off beats and things like that to sort of make it fit. And that's where you get this groove from. You'll notice, you probably, if you watch me again, you'll see me going from this to suddenly, bop into a groove. That's really clever. I love that. And again, rhythmically, the music's very straight. See if we can catch that where it switches over. So you can hear negative feedback loop comes in earlier than you would expect from what's come before.
I just wanna hold the flame. Negative feedback loop. I'm spinning out of control. The sickly sweetness is crushing me, but I wanna know if there's no heat when I escalate. The fire is cold. There go.
Okay, before it goes any further, there is one of the greatest songwriting tips that I've seen bouncing around a lot lately is you shouldn't ever start like say a verse and a chorus on the same beat. So if you are writing the verse and your melody starts on the one out of like 1, 2, 3, 4, then don't do that in the chorus, because you end up with this ploddy sort of progression through the song. And so what she's done here is she's taken two verses and taken that that idea. So rather than having a long kind of boring, doubling of just a simple pattern at the start into the second verse, they've done that thing where she's pulled it all across, and now you've got a groove in the second part of the first verse. I guess it's all the same verse. Or maybe it's two verses. I don't know however she's probably breaking it up in her mind. But the way that you can see she does this is she, rather than putting negative on the first beat, she comes in before the first beat with negative feedback, loop feedbacks on the one, you know, and then that sort of drags, I'm spinning out of control. That's on the, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, out of control, you know. And so all it really does is it sort of gives you some like some melodic texture that's a little bit more complex, basically. But that's really clever. I just want to go back a little bit so I don't miss this next sort of juncture.
When I escalate, the fire is cold. There you go. This could all be yours. Feel the weight of a motor.
Wow, okay.
Could all be yours if you echo bullets of courage. Treat it good down the altar.
See, and again, this is straight. So if she had started the first verse straight, second verse straight, chorus straight, there'd be not a lot for your ear to grab onto. It just would sound like a lot of the sameness for, you know, where are we at? We're at, you know, nearly a minute and a half into the song. There wouldn't have been much variety had they not made that choice in the second part of the first verse or the second verse, whatever it is. But yeah, what a strong melody. This is great songwriting too. You want this, you want something people can sing along to in their cars. Halftime. That's another little like rhythmical textural trick. Nice. Great riff.
Nothing sacred, nothing lost. When birds of prey invade my thoughts, they promise I won't feel the pain. Not strong enough to hold the flame. Negative feedback loop. I'm spinning out of control.
To be honest with you, man, this is just pop songwriting 101. You know, the only thing that sets this apart from just a really good pop song is occasionally she's going to rah over the top of some stuff, and there's some really good guitar riffs. But when I say typical pop song sort of aesthetics, what I'm talking about is there's this upper echelon of pop songwriters like the likes of Max Martin and guys like that, that they come from backgrounds usually in rock music or other genres, and they sort of find themselves capable of writing really hooky pop songs, and so they get hired to do it regularly, and this is what their careers become, right? So these aren't just people who are like, man, I really dig NSYNC, I'm going to write songs. I'm talking about people who have strong fundamentals in composition, songwriting, all that sort of stuff. All of the, you know, the songs that really break out by these artists, where record labels spend a ton of money specifically buying songs off these people so that they know that when they release an album with the likes of the Backstreet Boys or something like that, that they're going to have the majority of the songs be hits, right? And it's always no accident. And so a lot of the skills transfer over to things like this as well, where you just, there's core concepts that always work from a songwriting perspective for capturing people's ears. And this is no different. This is just essentially a pop song dressed up. And it's moody and it's creative and all of this sort of stuff, but all the techniques they're using aren't a secret, you know? But yeah, I'm here for it, because to me, the reason I know all of this stuff is because I regularly listen to great pop song composition to learn tactics like this, because there's a reason that they work, and there's a reason these guys get paid a lot of money, because you can't help but write songs that people are going to like, you know? And at the end of the day, that's why we're all here, right? It's like fueling our egos. So here we go. I'm going to keep going. So far, I mean, I don't know what the second half of the song is going to be like, but so far, this has been a little bit of a different trajectory than what I pictured. I was kind of assuming I'd see a lot of screaming and things like that I could sort of look at how she's producing these sounds. But I got kind of bamboozled. But I'm not disappointed. It's a great song.
The sickly sweetness is crushing me, but I wanna know if there's no heat when I escalate. The fire is cold. There you go. This could all be yours. Feel the weight of a motor.
love that little bend up to that note.
Feel the weight of a murder. It could all be yours if you
She has a lovely breathiness to her voice, and I think that's probably what a lot of people are attracted to. You know, people that aren't strictly listening to her for her screams. Her voice is just pleasant to listen to, right? It's breathy. It's, you know, her acuity, like pitch wise, is really good as well. But there's also a little bit of drama and just a little bit of, you know, she's very adept with her dynamics and all that sort of stuff as well.
wear the words of prayer. Traitor cut down the altar. It could all be yours. Vulture circled in the flame. I have the power of a dying sun. I climb the altar and I climb my voices.
Is it weird that it's adorable when she's like, I love it. Hang on. This actually is interesting because it sounds very raw, right? Like, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of compression happening in a voice. It sounds like it's just coming out, you know, which is interesting. You can still hear the sung notes in there. Like a lot of times when you see screaming, typically as a rule doesn't really have pitch. You're changing whether the sound sounds high or low based on how you're shaping it, more so than, you know, singing high or singing low. It's more just you're placing almost like a speaking tone in different parts of your voice and getting like, rah, 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 you know. But you can hear her natural singing voice coming through as mixed into this. And that's, I want to say that's hard to do, but I don't think it's like she's worked on it and she's tried to figure out how to do that. I think that's just naturally the sound coming out of her at this point. She's not, I don't think she's gone, I'd really love to have a mix of my scream, rah, and a note in there as well. It's more like she's singing the notes and she's not affecting the entire, it's almost like the screams coming out so quickly, she can't hide all the notes. She's not getting to all of the bits of the notes. Listen closely, you can hear it. It's when the pressure of each consonant falls away, it sort of falls back to her natural vocal sound. So the attack is always rah! It sort of falls off to a note. That's really interesting. Wow.
I climb the altar and I climb my voices.
I call that one Grinch face. That's so cool. Yeah, hey man, there's a lot more energy in a performance than I was expecting from what I've seen video clip wise. She's really putting herself physically into this, and that's not what I expected at all, to be perfectly honest. Somebody, when in previous videos when I've talked about how, you know, you got to understand a lot of times when the singers are doing these sort of performances in the studio, they are very still and calm and collected, and they're thinking about technique and all that sort of stuff so as not to blow their voices out. And when you see them in music videos and stuff like that, there's a lot of strong movement and stuff to make it seem like they're putting a lot of aggression into what they're doing. But realistically, it's harder to perform that way than to have the stillness in the studio and really just get into the raw, you know, like that sort of attitude. Somebody in the comments said you should, I don't even remember which song, they might have even been talking about this one take, and they were saying, yeah, you know, in the studio, in that particular video, it looks like she's trying to pick a fight with the microphone, and I think this might have been it. Yeah, it's a silly look. These little chord changes in there are beautifully simplistic but textured. You know, like he could have just sat when I say here, I mean the guitarist and bass. They could have just sat on those chords for a bar, but they've got a few little dun, 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 sort of like bits to sort of tie those chord progression, those basic chords together. They also could have super overplayed it and just put a whole bunch of nonsense in there, but they're just letting the vocals sit comfortably in the mix, and it's again just classic songwriting techniques, just really good. Interesting. Nice. This is how I know she does this with good technique, because if you bust up to a rah and then straight back into a sung note, I call it the Chester Bennington effect, because nobody did it, to my knowledge, as good as him up to that point, where he could just blast a stadium full of people with just aggressive sound and then drop straight back into his beautiful singing voice as well. Same thing. It's the same word. It doesn't make sense. There's no resetting of anything. It's not like she's going, okay, and then I'm going to sing. Just good technique. Weird. All right, wow. Again, just having a quick glance at the lyrics. There's not a lot there that I'm catching on to. Feel the weight of the martyr, a traitor watching me as birds of prey never falter. I guess the key to unlocking the meaning of these lyrics is to figure out exactly what context she means birds of prey to mean, because she references it quite a lot. You know, there's, again, it's just beautiful poetry, but I'd have to really sit down and figure out the context to really unlock what it's about. The sickly sweetness is crushing me, but I want to know there's no heat when I escalate the fire. It's cold. You know, they're just really nice turns of phrases that at this stage to me just have no meaning. But that's fine. I'm 100% okay with that, because I think a lot of the emotion of what she's trying to say is conveyed through the performance rather than the specific word choices. And to me, that's a little bit of a higher form of like lyricism and songwriting, you know? All right, it's time for the obligatory Enchroma ad. You guys know I'm colorblind. You know that I'm interested in helping out all my other colorblind brothers and sisters. That's 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 girls. That's probably going to be you if you're watching this. So click the link in the description, go to the Enchroma website, and you can get an eye test and figure out exactly what kind of colorblindness you have. And also you can look at getting some corrective glasses. If you do decide to buy a pair, use the code CHAOS in checkout and you'll get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you. Okay, so overall the review of this, from a perspective of a first-time reaction, is not what I expected. But then again, I've learned to not expect anything from Spiritbox. They're always pulling in different directions and stuff like that. I'm not sure where this song fits canonically, whether it's an older track or one of the newer ones. I'm not sure, but honestly, this is the kind of song that ticks all the boxes for me, because, you know, I've said before, the reason I didn't get into vocals with music with extreme vocals was because it just didn't sit well with me in my ears back in the day, and so I just got into the habit of not listening to those bands. But I did listen to a lot of bands that had songs where there's the occasional scream vocal and things like that, and so I'm totally all throughout history I've always been fine with that. You know, Linkin Park and bands like that, right? So in this case, this isn't too far removed from what I'd 100% have listened to all this time. And, you know, that's the cool thing about this journey, is that I'm discovering things not only in the extreme ends of the genre, but also in areas that I didn't even know existed, that are tailor-made for my ears to begin with, you know. So this has been a lot of fun. Like I'm becoming a really big fan of Courtney. I think she's pretty spectacular. And also I'm a big fan of, his name escapes me right now, her husband, and obviously the rest of the players in the band as well. I know he writes most of the material, but you know, everybody plays their part. You know, you can only write so much for another musician. So yeah, I'm becoming a very big fan of this band, and I'll probably end up doing more if there's more videos. I'll have to take a look. But anyway, thanks for the recommendations. A lot of the reason I did this video in the first place is that the fan base for Spiritbox particularly are so passionate about bringing these songs to the forefront. And that's exactly why I'm here. You know, I just want to do songs that inspire people to maybe take another listen to songs that they're super fans of and feel like they're pulling out new things, or they're experiencing somebody else watching it for the first time. And that's why I do this. It's sort of, the reactions I get from you guys are fantastic in that regard. So thank you for sticking around. Please, I'm trying to get my subscriber count up. I'm almost at 100, which is super exciting for me. And it's wonderful being that the channel's only been around for just over a week. I'm psyched that you guys are connecting with the material. Thank you so much again. If you think you know somebody who may be interested in any of my videos, please share them as well. That's really helpful. Thanks again, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.